Hello, Professor Liu, fellow students. If you do not know my name, it is Aaron Cervantes. Currently attending Rio Hondo right now. I'm in my sophomore year, I believe. I've been majoring in a CIT certificate, actually, so not an actual regular major program. My educational goals as of right now, possibly just to obtain more certificates. I'm still debating if I do want to go into a regular degree program and possibly go to a four-year university. That could be in the cards for me, just depending on certain aspects of my career plans and whether or not I do manage to land a solid job somewhere at this time. My career goals, on that note, are to get into software development. I don't necessarily have a company in mind, but I do hope that I can get into one that, um, would pay well, first of all, and that would at least help me in furthering my goals in expanding my knowledge and giving me practical experience that I feel I'm severely lacking in right now, which is very important to progress in the tech field. If anybody is familiar, just with how difficult it can be to really find a position in a reputable company where you can be for a while. Anyway, why did I choose Rio Hondo? Well, first of all, it was local. Some friends have told me about it before. I had heard good things about it from my parents and from many other people that I do know. On top of that, they were offering the first 2 years of most of the tuition, I believe, for free. And that was a very big incentive because right out of high school, I was quite concerned with how much college may cost. On top of that, just how much going to a university would cost because out of high school, I was very, very influenced and very much told often that I should try to pursue a university right out of high school. Of course, that depended on the kind of grades that I got coming out of high school, and I would say that they weren't exactly sufficient to go directly into a university. So community college seemed like a viable alternative to actually be able to start on my educational career path quickly and efficiently without having to possibly go through any red tape or hoops that I may have to deal with to get into a four-year university. That being said, I would say that a big benefit of going to community colleges is that they are usually more accessible than four-year universities. Although I believe with most people, the idea is that you want to transfer from a community college to a university for whatever reason. I feel like that may not necessarily be what needs to be done to pursue your educational goals, just depending on the degree you're going in. I fully understand that some colleges, some universities have very reputable programs for certain things, like maybe nursing or botany or other certain career paths that community colleges may not have the same resources to supply an education of that experience. Um, so accessibility for community colleges is one thing. I guess price would kind of factor into that as well, but that may be a bigger talking point just because the cost of going to a university is usually uh, multiple degrees higher than it would be to go to a community college, just for many different reasons. I mean, they usually are because they offer more extensive programs, which is good, obviously, but if you can't afford it, then community college is definitely what you should look into because it is much better to try something that is more viable at the moment instead of just kind of waiting around, possibly continuing to work a minimum wage job to get the money to go to university. I think it's much better if you put in the extra effort to not only attend community college, but also to uh, try to obtain some income so that you can further yourself if you're not receiving very much assistance to do so in the first place. I definitely think you could call it a benefit of community college too, is that if you have larger educational goals, attending a community college before you try to get into a university is probably a very good idea because it gives you an idea of what college is like, especially if you're right out of high school. It gives an idea of what it's like and just what living that life is about so that you're more ready to take advantage of what a university would have to offer you because you already become familiar with it from attending a community college. And I think that's really important too because I feel like coming out of high school, I was not as informed as I should have been, even about community college. So I was just very ill prepared. I did not really do much with my time because I just was not told very much off the bat, and I really wasn't sure where to go to get the answers that I wanted. So I did kind of give up on even community college right out of high school because I just really wasn't sure. But over time, I gathered myself and I got my thoughts all straightened out, and I realized exactly what I wanted to do, and I realized that it would be much easier to go into a community college to just even start somewhere. So I'd say those are probably the biggest highlights of the benefits of starting with a community college as opposed to worrying about going to university because definitely, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are probably given the impression that you should be going to a university and you should be pursuing very high level degrees right off of the bat. But there's just so much that you're not told about just the sort of life you have to live and how much work you have to put up with, how much you have to micromanage to make sure that just everything is being fulfilled as you want it to, and you're directly pursuing and forwarding your educational career path. I think that's really important. I think, bottom line, you should not try to rush anything as far as education goes because there's a lot of money involved. And you don't want to throw this money into a situation, into a place where you're probably not going to get your worth out of it because you may not know exactly what you want to do. Thank you for watching. I hope you gleaned some insight from this video and it was informative. And yeah, thank you.